Listen carefully, because this might be the quiet truth that has been whispering in your life for years, waiting for you to finally hear it. It is not your lack of talent that is holding you back. It is not your background. It is not even your circumstances. It is doubt. Doubt, the silent thief that enters your mind without knocking, sits comfortably in your thoughts, and convinces you that you are not ready, not capable, not chosen. And the most dangerous thing about doubt is this: it doesn't feel like an enemy. It feels like logic. It sounds like, be realistic. It disguises itself as, what if it doesn't work? It whispers, maybe later. And before you know it, years have passed, and the dream that once burned so brightly inside you becomes something you only visit in your imagination. Now, if that sounds familiar, don't worry. You are not broken. You are simply human. Because every single person who has ever attempted something meaningful has met doubt at the door. The difference is not that they didn't feel it. The difference is they didn't obey it. And today, I want to show you how to do the same. Because the truth is, doubt is not the problem. Your agreement with it is. Let us begin with something simple, something almost playful. Have you ever noticed how your mind can argue both sides of a situation? You can say, I can do this, and immediately your mind responds, are you sure? Then you say, why not me? And it replies, because you're not like them. It's almost like there's a tiny lawyer living in your head, and unfortunately, he only got hired to argue against you. But here's the fascinating part. That same mind can also argue in your favor. If you say, I can learn, your mind can respond, yes, you've learned things before. If you say, this might work, it can respond, it has worked for others. So the question is not whether your mind will speak. The question is, which voice will you agree with? Because agreement is power. Whatever you agree with, you energize. And whatever you energize, grows. Now let me tell you something that might surprise you. Resistance and doubt are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are often signs that you are standing at the edge of something meaningful. Think about it. Nobody doubts things that don't matter. You don't sit there questioning whether you should breathe today. You don't hesitate about brushing your teeth. But the moment something has the potential to change your life, suddenly doubt appears like a concerned relative who was never invited. Are you sure? What if you fail? What will people say? And if doubt had a face, it would probably look very serious, like it pays taxes and files reports on your dreams. But here's the truth. Doubt is not wise. It is repetitive. It simply replays your past fears into your future possibilities. And if you don't interrupt it, it becomes your reality. So how do we let go of resistance and doubt? Not by fighting it, not by trying to silence it completely, but by refusing to agree with it. You see, resistance is like trying to drive a car with the handbrake on. You press the accelerator. You want to move forward, but something is holding you back. And many people think the solution is to press harder, more effort, more stress, more pressure. But the truth is, you don't need more force. You need release. You need to take off the handbrake, and that handbrake is doubt. Now let's get practical. Because I know you don't just want inspiration, you want transformation. Here is a simple framework you can begin using immediately. First, awareness. You cannot change what you do not notice. So start paying attention to your inner conversations. When you think about your goals, what do you hear? Do you hear possibility or limitation? Do you hear encouragement or criticism? And don't judge yourself for what you find. Simply observe, because observation is the beginning of freedom. Second, interruption. The moment you catch a doubtful thought, interrupt it. Not aggressively, but deliberately. If your mind says, "This will never work." You gently respond, "That is not the final truth." If it says, "I'm not good enough," you say, "I am growing into it." You are not arguing. You are redirecting. You are choosing a new agreement. Third, replacement. Because the mind does not like a vacuum. If you remove a thought, you must replace it. So instead of saying, "I hope this works," say, "I am open to this working in ways I cannot yet see." Instead of, "I'm afraid I'll fail," say, "I am willing to learn and adapt." You see the difference? You are not pretending everything is perfect. You are choosing possibility over paralysis. And that changes everything. Now let me speak to something deeper. Many people hold on to doubt because they believe it protects them. They think, "If I expect less, I won't be disappointed." But what they don't realize is, doubt doesn't protect you from failure. It guarantees it. Because when you doubt yourself, you hesitate. When you hesitate, you delay. When you delay, you miss opportunities. And then you say, "See, it wasn't meant for me." But it wasn't that it wasn't meant for you. It was that you never fully showed up for it. And I say this with love, not judgment, because I have seen so many brilliant, capable, gifted people shrink their dreams to match their doubts. They play small, not because they are small, but because doubt convinced them it was safer. Now, let me ask you something honestly. How long are you going to keep negotiating with doubt? How long will you let it sit at the decision-making table of your life? Because every time you say, "Maybe later," you are choosing comfort over expansion. And comfort, while it feels good in the moment, becomes a cage over time. You were not designed to stay where you are. You were designed to grow, to expand, to create. But growth requires movement, and movement requires courage. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. So here is something powerful you can begin today. Take one small action. Not a big one, not a dramatic one. Just one small step in the direction of your dream. Send the message, start the project, write the first page, make the call. Because action dissolves doubt faster than thinking ever will. You can sit there and analyze your fears for years. Or you can take one step and realize it wasn't as scary as your mind made it seem. And let's be honest, your mind has a talent for exaggeration. It turns a small risk into a life-threatening event. You want to post a video. Suddenly your mind acts like the entire world is watching with a magnifying glass. You want to start something new. Suddenly your mind brings up every possible way it could go wrong. It's dramatic. It deserves an award, honestly. But you don't have to take it seriously. You can smile and move forward anyway. Now let me give you a truth that will set you free if you truly accept it. You do not need certainty to begin. You only need willingness. Because certainty comes after movement, not before. Clarity comes from doing, not waiting. Confidence is built through action, not thinking. So if you've been waiting to feel ready, let me gently tell you, you may be waiting forever. Because readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. And the moment you decide, "I am moving forward," something shifts inside you. You begin to access a different energy, an energy of momentum. And momentum is powerful, because once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep going. But if you stay still, doubt grows louder. Now, I want to speak directly to your dream, that idea you keep returning to, that vision that refuses to leave you alone, that thing you think about late at night or early in the morning. That is not random. That is not accidental. That is a call. And doubt will try to convince you that you are not the one to answer it. But I tell you, if the idea came to you, it is because you are capable of carrying it. You may not know how yet. You may not see the full path, but you don't need to, because the path reveals itself as you walk it, not before. And this is where trust comes in. Trust is the opposite of doubt. Not blind trust, but a quiet, steady knowing that you are supported as you move forward. And trust grows the same way confidence does, through experience. So give yourself the experience of trying, of showing up, of moving despite the noise. Now, let's bring this into something practical again, because I want you to leave this moment not just inspired, but equipped. Here is a simple daily practice. Each morning, before you check your phone, before you step into the world, ask yourself one question. What would I do today if I trusted myself? And then, do at least one of those things. Not all of them, just one. Because consistency beats intensity. Small steps, repeated daily, create massive change. And each time you act from trust instead of doubt, you rewire your mind. You begin to create a new pattern, a new identity. Not someone who hesitates, but someone who moves. Now, I want you to understand something very important. Letting go of doubt does not mean you will never feel it again. It means you no longer let it lead you. It becomes background noise instead of the voice of authority. And over time, it gets quieter because you stop feeding it. Remember, agreement is power. And when you stop agreeing with doubt, you stop energizing it. And something beautiful begins to happen. Your focus shifts. Instead of asking, what if it goes wrong? You begin asking, what if it goes right? Instead of seeing obstacles, you begin seeing opportunities. Instead of shrinking, you begin expanding. And that is where your life begins to change. Not overnight, but steadily, consistently, powerfully. Now let me leave you with this. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Not the version of you that stayed stuck, but the version of you that decided to move. The version of you that took small steps every day. The version of you that stopped negotiating with doubt and started trusting yourself. How would that version of you think? How would that version of you act? How would that version of you feel? That version of you is not a fantasy. It is a possibility, and it is built one decision at a time. So today, make that decision. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Let go of the need to be perfect. Let go of the need to be certain. Let go of the idea that you must have everything figured out. And instead, choose movement, choose trust, choose action. Because your dreams are not waiting for perfection. They are waiting for permission. And that permission can only come from you. If this message spoke to you, then don't let it end here. Take one small step today. And if you're ready, say it out loud. Or type it in the comments. I choose to release doubt and move forward. Because when you declare something, you begin to align with it. And when you align with it, you begin to become it. Now go, not with certainty, but with courage. Because that is all you have ever needed. And as you move forward, something interesting begins to happen. Something subtle at first, almost easy to miss. You start to notice that the things you once feared begin to lose their power over you. Not because they disappear completely, but because you are no longer standing still long enough for fear to build a home inside your mind. You are moving, and movement changes everything. You see, doubt thrives in stillness. It grows in hesitation. It multiplies in overthinking. But the moment you take action, even imperfect action, doubt begins to shrink. It's like turning on the light in a dark. Nothing magical happened. But suddenly, what looked scary becomes clear. And clarity is a powerful antidote to fear. Now let me share something that many people misunderstand. They believe confidence comes before action. They say, once I feel confident, then I will start. But that is not how it works. Confidence is not the cause, it is the result. It is built through repetition, through showing up again and again, even when you feel uncertain. So if you've been waiting to feel ready, to feel bold, to feel fearless, you've been waiting for a feeling that only comes after you begin. It's like saying, "I'll go to the gym once I'm already fit." It sounds logical, but it keeps you stuck. And sometimes you have to laugh at how the mind tries to trick you. Because honestly, if excuses were a sport, your mind would be a champion. "Oh, I'll start next week. Oh, I just need a little more time. Oh, I need to research more." Meanwhile, your dream is sitting there like, "Are we doing this? Or are we just thinking about doing this forever?" And this is where you gently interrupt the cycle, not with pressure, but with honesty. You say, "I may not feel ready, but I am willing." And willingness is enough, because willingness opens the door. And once the door is open, opportunity can enter. Now let's talk about resistance for a moment, because resistance is not always loud. Sometimes it's very quiet, very polite. It looks like procrastination. It feels like tiredness. It sounds like, "I'll do it later." But later is the favorite hiding place of dreams that never happen. Because later rarely arrives. There is always something else. Another excuse, another delay, another reason. And before you know it, the moment has passed. So here is a simple truth. The life you want is built in the moments you feel like postponing. The version of you that succeeds is not the one who always feels motivated. It is the one who moves anyway. Now, I want you to imagine resistance as a test, not a punishment, but a test. A moment that asks, "How serious are you about this?" And every time you choose action over delay, you pass. Every time you move despite discomfort, you pass. Every time you say, "I'm doing this now," you pass. And slowly, quietly, you begin to build a new identity. Not someone who waits, but someone who acts. And identity is everything. Because once you see yourself differently, your actions follow. You no longer say, "I'm trying." You say, "I am." And those two words carry a very different energy. I am learning. I am growing. I am building. I am becoming. You see, the words you use are not just expressions. They are instructions. They tell your mind what to look for. They tell your energy what to align with. So choose them carefully. Now let me address something that often hides beneath doubt, the fear of being seen. Because sometimes it's not failure we fear, it's exposure. It's the thought of people watching, judging, commenting. What will they think? What if they laugh? What if I'm not good enough? But here is something freeing. People are not thinking about you as much as you think. They are busy thinking about themselves, worrying about their own lives, their own problems, their own fears. And the few who do watch, some will support you, some will ignore you, and some will criticize you. But here's the truth. Criticism is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something visible. And visibility is necessary for growth. You cannot build something meaningful in hiding. At some point, you must step forward, not perfectly, but courageously. And yes, it may feel uncomfortable at first. But discomfort is not danger. It is expansion. It is growth. It is the feeling of becoming someone new. And if you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. So, instead of asking, "How can I feel comfortable?" ask, "How can I grow through this?" That one shift changes everything. Now, let's come back to doubt, because doubt has one favorite question. What if it doesn't work? And most people stop there. They let that question end the conversation. But what if you continued it? What if it doesn't work the first time? Then I learn. What if it doesn't work at all? Then I try something else. What if I fail? then I grow. You see, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can count. The difference is, they didn't stop. They didn't let failure define them. They used it, they learned from it, they adjusted, and they kept moving. So don't fear failure. Fear staying in the same place, because staying stuck is the only real failure. Now let me give you something simple, something powerful, a small exercise you can use anytime doubt appears. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or holding me back? And if it's holding you back, you let it go, not by fighting it, but by choosing something better. A better thought, a better focus, a better direction, because you always have that choice. Always. Now, I want you to feel this for a moment. Right now, as you listen to this, there is a version of you that is ready. Not perfect, not fearless, but ready. Ready to take a step, ready to try, ready to move. And that version of you is not somewhere far away. It is here. It is now. It is a decision. So make it. Decide that you are no longer available for doubt. Decide that you are no longer entertaining resistance. Decide that you are moving, regardless of how you feel, because your feelings will catch up to your actions. They always do. Now imagine this. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a different mindset, not asking, what if I fail? But asking, what can I build today? Not thinking, I'm not ready, but saying, I'm starting anyway. Not waiting for confidence, but creating it through action. That one shift changes your entire trajectory, because life does not change when you think differently alone. It changes when you act differently. So let your actions reflect your new belief, even if it's just one small step, because small steps, done consistently, lead to massive results. Now, before we close, I want to anchor this deeply within you, because this is not just a message. It is a moment, a turning point, a decision, and I want you to carry it with you. So repeat this within yourself. I release doubt. I release resistance. I trust myself. I move forward. Feel those words, not as empty phrases, but as intentions, because intention directs your energy, and where your energy goes, your life follows. So from this moment on, when doubt speaks, you listen, but you do not obey. When resistance appears, you acknowledge it, but you do not stop. When fear rises, you feel it, but you move anyway, because you are no longer waiting. You are no longer hesitating. You are becoming, and becoming is a process, a beautiful, powerful process that unfolds step by step. So be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, but most importantly, be committed to yourself, because your dreams deserve your commitment, your life deserves your effort, and you deserve to see what happens when you stop holding yourself back. So go forward, not perfectly, but powerfully. And if you felt something shift inside you today, don't keep it to yourself. Let it out. Type it. Speak it. Declare it. I am done with doubt. I am moving forward. Because the moment you declare it, you begin to live it. And I will see you on the other side of that decision.